It is the 30th day of October 2025. On that note, I welcome you to this morning edition of Sports Talk right here on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Emmanuel Michael, and I'm glad to be here to take you through the happenings in the world of sports. Top on our menu this morning, Rivers Hoopers continue dominance at the ongoing Nigeria Premier Basketball League. And in the world of tennis, Sina hopes to reclaim top world rankings in Paris Masters, while in the world of football, Palace stunned Liverpool in the EFL Cup. Details of this and many more will be yours after this short time out. All right, welcome back from that short break. I'm not here alone this morning because Kingsley Emmanuel joins me on the show this morning. Kingsley, good morning and welcome to Sports Talk.
Yeah, Mike, thank you very much for having me. Nice to be here this morning.
All right, let's get started from the world of basketball because Rivers Hoopers made it 3 wins from 3 games at the ongoing 2025 Nigeria Premier Basketball League Final 8 playoff. When they turned what started off as a close contest into a 20-point rout by defeating Nigerian Custom 94-74 yesterday night. However, it not been the same story for Kano Pillars, Nigerian Custom, and Kwara Falcons. All 3 sides are yet to register a win in the final 8 contest. So Kingsley, first of the dominance of Rivers Hoopers continued, 3 wins out of 3. It's looking likely that they might defend the title successfully, which they won last season.
Yes, it's looking that way because if you take a look at it, they've been very formidable, right from the first game where they played against, Hopes and Raids. The second, of course, which they, of course, beat Kano Pillars. And now they've gotten the best against Nigerian Custom. So I think for me, you take a look at it, it might just be another one-way thing. Just like we've seen in previous season, Rivers Hoopers coming all the way, of course, to rack up the title, at the end of the day. And Mike, it's really clear at this point in time because if you take a look at it, Rivers Hoopers, are the most, funded team in basketball down here in Nigeria. They are the team, of course, that the players' welfare are not being taken for granted. In fact, they go all out in terms of making sure that they get quality players, that can, of course, get the job done. All right. So you take a look at it, it will be very, very difficult, for Rivers Hoopers to be stopped, in this particular championship. Take a look at the fact that we have the likes of Kevin Amayo playing in the Nigerian Basketball League for Rivers Hoopers and other top quality players. Take a look at other teams. How many top names can you mention? Top basketball player can you mention in other teams? So that's the thing. So if you see the gap is very, very huge in terms of quality of players, performance, proper welfare, and all of that. And that's why we're seeing River Supers, of course, being this dominance, in basketball down here in Nigeria. If other teams, can take up the same direction, not just depending on the home-based players. If it depends on the home-based players of Nigerian basketball, you will not really get it right. All right, you have to go out there, see how you can get quality players, because the league here is not formidable. All right, so there is no how a league that is not formidable will be able to produce top, players. It's just like the Nigerian Premier Football League. All right, the league is not formidable, and it is difficult for you to pick players here to maybe go represent the Super Eagles of Nigeria and all of that. That's the same thing. That's why you see River Supers make extra effort to bring in some of these foreign guys to see how they can get the job done. And not just that, just like we heard from our man, of course, who has been in the scene, Kevin Eyo, they also have an academy that you also go there to bring in talent, as well. So you take a look at it, a well-structured side is going to be very, very difficult for River Supers to be stopped, and that is why they've maintained this high level of dominance.
High level of dominance from River Supers because of the way and manner the team is structured, ready to, of course, continue to add quality players to their rank, and that has given them an edge over other teams who depend on the locally made players, where the league is not that very strong per se. So I think for River Supers, they know what to do to get a positive result, and they've done it, and the result is coming forth. 3 straight wins, while teams like Kano Pillars, Kingsley, Nigerian Custom, even Kwara Falcons, some of the top side are struggling yet to reach the win.
Yes, it's very disappointing, especially the teams from the north. Kano Pillars, you talk about, Kwara Falcons as well, struggling. Last 2 seasons, Kwara Falcons were a very formidable side. In fact, they won the tickets, went down to the Basketball Africa League, and couldn't, of course, put up their best. I think they didn't even win a game. It was that bad. All right. So for me, I think the teams from the north have not really gotten it right. You only see teams from the south here, the River Supers, coming up with impressive performance from the west, where you have Lagos Legends, and the rest of them coming up with very impressive performance. And like I mentioned, you can't take it away from the fact that the league has not been formidable. Those teams from the north, they majorly depend on the league, to come up so they could compete. The players also depend on the league to compete, as a stand. How many, mini basketball tournaments do the Nigerian Basketball Federation host in a year? Or maybe some state government hosts in a year? That's the things to look out for. So these players are much rusty. They are not even active, at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you call them to come and play Final 8. How would they be able to, perform with teams like, let's say, Lagos Legends or River Supers that have been competing? After the first phase of the competition, River Supers went for a mini tournament.
Sure.
They didn't just relent. So you just went to be training on your own. You didn't compete maybe any other side. How will you be active? And coupled with the fact that even River Supers, they even went to play a mini tournament, even have to inject new players. Yeah. So that is the difference. The disparity, of course, is very, very huge at this point in time. So it's very sad. I thought maybe teams like, Kwara Falcons, maybe Kano Pillars, Nigerian Custom, of course, will be able to show, much progress in this particular one. But it's so unfortunate that we're not seeing that spectacular performance at this point in time.
Some big-name teams are finding it very difficult to show grit and tenacity at the ongoing Final 8 of the Nigerian Premier Basketball League. Teams like Kwara Falcons, Kano Pillars finding it very difficult yet to reach the win thus far. But then, let me serve you the full result of yesterday's game, because Kwara Falcons were beaten by Hoops and Reed 74-54. Lagos Legend also got a better of Boko City Chiefs 81-74, while Nile University in a KJ counter beat Kano Pillars 76-67. Rivers Hoopers down the Nigerian Custom by 94-74 in that particular one. And of course, the coach of the side, talking about Ogo Daudu, Kingsley is also talking tough. He said that their main aim was to focus and get the job done. And of course, the coach is indeed getting focused and getting the job done. What do you make of Ogo Daudu? Do you think that is a wealth of experience which he has garnered by playing the league over the years, and of course also representing Nigeria at the continent of Africa. Do you think that this has in any way helped to, of course, shape the quality and the performance of the team? Or you think that it's just the newly added player that have been able to make the changes?
You can't take it away from Ogo Daudu, honestly. You cannot take it away from Ogo. You can have the best hands, all right, but do not have what it takes to use them, all right? You do not have the knowledge, of course, to use these players. Same coaches, being able, of course, to get the best players, on earth, but still find it difficult, to bring out the best, from the players. Just, for example, in the case of Liverpool, where they have a race of stars, but and still find it difficult, of course, to bring in something, of course, into the team. So that's it. You can't take it away from Ogo Daudu. You can't take away his tactical input in the team. You can see they have a lot of quality players, but the coach, of course, who truly understands the team, of course, know what to do at the right time. And that's why you've seen them, being able to put up, this level of performance. Ogo Daudu is one man who understands Nigerian basketball very well. He knows the strengths of even some of the teams, to say. So he knows what to do at every point. This is a man who has coached Rivers Supers for so many years, so you understand the team very well. He has also coached the G Tigers of Nigeria. I think after the basketball, was it last season, after the Basketball African League, he was actually being called, I think, by a particular team, of course. NBA. NBA. So you could see a man who has gone to that height and really understand what it means to manage a team, when it has to do with basketball. So you can't take away his tactical prowess, so far from the exploits and the performance, of Rivers Supers. And I tell you, Ogo Daudu has really done well. And for me, I think he should be commended, for this impressive effort so far.
Ogo Daudu should to be commended for his impressive efforts so far for tinkering the Rivers Hoopers side to continue their impeccable record and dominance in the ongoing Super 8 in the Nigerian Premier Basketball League. But then this morning we are going to see some fixtures at the Niger Street. Talking about fixtures, Kingsley Kano Pillars will be up against Kwara Falcons 11 a.m. while Nigerian Custom will take on Nile University. Hoops and Reed welcome or play host rather to Lagos Legend, while Boko City Chiefs hope to get a bit of Rivers Hoopers. All games will be played at a basketball stadium, which is located at 59 Niger Street, Port Harcourt, Rivers State, right here. Now, of course, our man Kevin Ayo, who has been covering the games in Port Harcourt, believes the Hoopers' experience gives them a big edge going forward. So we see how a pound side, if they are going to make it 4 out of 4 today. But still talking about the slamming and dunking games, let's have your results coming in from the NBA, because Bolton Celtic down the Cleveland Cavaliers by 125 to 105, while Detroit Pistons also beat Orlando Magic 135 to 116. Brooklyn Nets were beaten at home by Atlanta Hawks 117 to 112. Chicago Bulls also pulled a stunning win against Sacramento Kings 126 to 113, while Dallas Mavericks they got a bit of Indiana Pacers in a keenly contested game 107 to 105, just 2 points separate the two sides. Denver Nuggets, yes, they saw off New Orleans Pelicans 122 to 88 rather, in a very high scoring match in that particular encounter. Let's head straight to the world of tennis, because a lot is also going down in the world of tennis. This morning there were some games as we speak, and of course Valentin Vekeroit said he finds it easier to play against opponents he doesn't know well after beating his cousin Otto Rinderknech for the second time in the space of 3 weeks at the Paris Masters. Monaco's Vekeroit overcame a slow start to claim a 6-7, 6-3, 6-4 victory and set up a third round meeting with British number 2 Cameron Norrie. The 26-year-old claimed a shock victory against Rinderknech in the final of the Shanghai Masters earlier this month, becoming the lowest ranked ATP Masters 1000 champion since the series began in 1990. For Vicarot Kingsley, he's gradually, finding a way to down some of the big players that are way, better than him in terms of ranking. Do you see him being the next thing that is going to join the big name like Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and the aging Novak Djokovic?
We just keep our fingers crossed, and see how it goes. At this point in time, the young man has really showed, progress, over time. I think in the space of, let's say 2 months, he has really shown exploit. In the, I think Shanghai Masters, we saw him putting up some impressive performance, taking the likes of Alexander Bublik, Holger Rune, even Novak Djokovic, to get to the final. That should tell you that the man is really doing something great at this point in time. Talking about maybe getting to the height of Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, maybe Novak Djokovic at this point. I think he should just take his eyes away, from that particular one, because that would be a distraction to him. He should just focus in winning games. When he focuses in winning games, I tell you, he won't even know when people start comparing him, to the likes of Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and the rest of them. But when you focus, I want to reach that height of Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, you might bring distraction to yourself, and pressure will start setting in. At the end of the day, you find it difficult, of course, to withstand pressure in some of the top games, of course, probably, he will encounter, along the way. So for me, I think it's really been a very good step up for him. I think consistency is the next stop now at this point. If he can maintain that consistency, yes, he can definitely compete with the likes of Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, maybe Novak Djokovic, and probably, fighting for the world #1 spot. But it won't really come easy. It has to come with a lot of hard work, consistency, and focus from the man.
Hard work, consistency, and focus from Vicarot out there. But I can tell you that it's been an impressive season for him, because he's been able to down some of the big names and, of course, get so far this year in some of the competitions that he has taken part. Meanwhile, world #2 Jannik Sinner is to a 6-4, 6-2 win over Belgium's Zuzenbergs. Alcaraz's early exit means Sinner will reclaim top spot in the world rankings if he wins the Paris Masters. Reigning champion Alexander Zverev battled past Argentines Camilo Hugo Carabelli 6-7, 6-1, 7-5 to reach the third round. But Norwegian 8th seed Casper Ruud lost his opening match against a 50th ranked German Daniel Altmaier 6-3, 7-5. Former world #1 Dani Medvedev of Russia was given a walkover to third round after Grigor Dimitrov withdrew with a shoulder injury, while Felix Auger-Aliassime beat Alexander Mullers 5-7, 7-6, 7-6 in that very one. So for Jannik Sinner, the exit of the Spaniard, talking about the young Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz, is going to probably give him an edge that if he get to win this very one, then he returns back to the world #1. This is the reason why some players, they find it very difficult to skip some games or some tournament, because they just want to maintain that ranking. So the early exit of the young Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz has given Jannik Sinner that opportunity that if he get to win this particular tournament, he's going to climb back to the world #1. Do you see him being motivated by this factor?
Of course, I think that's a very good means of him being motivated, knowing that he can, of course, reclaim the world #1 spot he lost to Carlos Alcaraz. I think that's a very huge motivation, for him. I think ending the year as world #1 will be a huge achievement for Jannik Sinner. After staying away for 3 months from the game, you came back, played, and still finished as world #1. I tell you, it will be something, of course, very, very huge, for the man. So I think for me, that alone would be a huge motivation for Jannik Sinner to go all the way, making sure, of course, he gets to the final at this point in time. But for me, I think Alcaraz was just being carried away. All right, the season has been a bit rosy for him, winning tournament upon tournament, reclaiming back world #1 sports and all of that. I think the man was just grooving, in the moment, and he didn't know that. Okay, some other players. He didn't know that other players are also, training and getting themselves fit as it stands. So for me, I think Alcaraz, what he needs is high level of consistency. There is consistency, but there need to be a high level of consistency, for him to, of course, to put himself, in that range of the likes of Djokovic. Of course, everyone is looking forward to maybe winning more Grand Slam, getting to the height of Novak Djokovic, who has won about, I think, 23 Grand Slam, for himself. Looking forward to surpass that record of Margaret Court, making it 24 at this point. So I think that is the same expectation. If you look at it, some tennis fans, that are looking up at this point in time. Alcaraz, you should be able to hit more Grand Slam. Even Yannick Sinner as well. You should be able to, of course, grab more Grand Slam, as it stands. So for me, I think there needs to be high level of consistency from the side of Alcaraz if he wants to, of course, properly, take up that legendary, status, at the end of his career. But for Sinner, for Yannick Sinner, I think it's going to be a good one. A huge achievement to see if, of course, he finishes the year as world #1.
Which one, if he finishes the year as a world #1, we can tell you that he's primed to reclaim back that world #1, courtesy of the early exit of the current world #1, talking about Carlos Alcaraz, who exited the Shanghai Masters very early, and that has given extra chance and opportunity for Yannick Sinner, the Italian, to reclaim back his world #1 if he truly wins this particular tournament. All right, let's talk football on the show this morning, because Rivers State government has expressed its readiness to host, of course, the Nigerian Women's Premier League Super 6 for the 2025-2026 season. The move is seen as another bold step toward promoting women's football development in the state and across Nigeria. Speaking at the annual general meeting of the Nigerian Women Football League held in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, Commissioner for Sport, Barrister Christopher Green, who represented the governor, Similaye Fubara, commended the league management for bringing the event to Rivers State for the first time. Green reaffirmed the state's commitment to supporting initiatives that foster the growth of women's football, stressing that Rivers State will not only host but deliver a world-class Super 6 championship when the season concluded. Of course, they're still talking about the Nigerian Women Football League. Kingsley, after the annual general meeting, it was concluded in a roundtable discussion that the Women Premier Football League is going to kick off on November 26th in that particular one. And the Rivers State, led by the able Commissioner for Sport, Barrister Christopher Green, is pushing for Rivers State to host the final 6. With the way and manner Rivers State has been getting some, nods to host some of these major sporting events, it looks as though the state has or is gradually prioritizing sport in the state, and this should be a very good one for the teeming youth of Rivers State.
No doubt about that, Mike. Rivers State, over time has been a hub of sports, in the country. But I think somehow, they slacked, in terms of managing the sporting facilities, in the states. You take a look at the Adoke Mesemaka Stadium. The stadium has been there for so many years and can't even host a CAF Confederation Cup game. It's that bad, as it stands. Rivers United, of course, they always go down to the Goslar Private International Stadium to execute their continental, games. And you take a look at it, which standard sporting facilities do Rivers State have, to host a major competition? Even a competition like the National Youth Games, can they host it? You talk about the national sports, festival, as it stands. I think they've only been fortunate just as a result of the fact that, yes, they have a good basketball court, and that's why whenever they trade bid, to host it, the NBBF will just easily give it up to them because they have a good basketball court and they've hosted the tournament several times and they've seen that yes, they can do it, to say. So I think just like we always reference Goslar Park International Stadium whenever we have a very big event, in the country or football events, you'll see people run down there. That should have been the same, for Rivers State if the sporting facilities, has been properly, of course, managed, over time. So they would have been talking about maybe, Rivers State gradually. We should have been talking about Rivers State hosting major tournaments, in Nigeria. And I just hope that now that the sport commissioner is back, I think a few days ago we hear that there's going to be massive renovation of the Adoke Messi Stadium, even the Shark Stadiums, of course, stadium in Port Harcourt. So let's just see what comes up. We'll just hope that all of this, of course, will be put into, will come to fruition, and then we'll see, how it goes down there. For the Super 6 being hosted in Rivers State, I think for me, is a good one. It's going to serve, of course, as a bit of advantage for the home side, talking about Rivers Angels, if only they will utilize it, of course, properly, at the end of the day, because it's really, really getting intense, talking about the Nigerian Women Football League, this time around. All teams will be coming out. Don't forget, yesterday we got to report that 6 teams will be relegated, at the end of the season. So this will make the teams available to really fight, for their sports, as it stands. Bayelsa Queens, Edo Queens, they will be coming out this time around. So if Rivers Angels want to, of course, win the title, that means they have to come out this time around. Last season, they bought so many players, even brought in a new coach, but at the end of the day, they couldn't lay their hands, of course, on the title. I think they won the Federation Cup, last season. But for me, I think this season is going to be more intense. It doesn't matter who is at home or where it will be hosted. I think the teams really have to come out. But for Rivers State hosting the Super 6, I think that would, of course, will be a good one.
It's going to be a good one for Rivers State to host the Super 6, talking about the Nigerian Women Football League Super 6, as they are making a frantic effort to ensure that they get the hosting rights of the Super 6. And we see how all this one will go. But representing the president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Ibrahim Gusso, the head of women's football at the Federation, Aisha Folade, praised the Nigerian Women Football League Board for its resilience in managing the Women's League and pledged the NFF support in resolving the persistent calendar inconsistency that have affected the competitions. Folade, speaking on behalf of the NFF, president also called on the Women's League body to work in unity and build a brand strong enough to attract more corporate investments in the game. The annual general meeting brought together football administrators, club owners, players' representatives, and other key stakeholders, all of whom reaffirmed their commitment to advancing the cause of women's football right here in Nigeria.
Mike, sorry, talking about branding, I think there's a lot needs to be done, in the Nigerian Women Football League.
Okay.
Last season, we were talking about the winner going home with 10 million naira. How can the winner of a league as big as the Nigerian Women Football League, after how many months, traveling from here to here, trying to execute games, last Adamawa Queens have to pay their way all the way from Adamawa to River State to play, and they were well beaten, and they went back. So the struggle is much. All right, so at the end of the day, you'll be giving 10 million naira. It is poor, very, very poor, and I think that is where the league organizers should try most they can to see if they can improve in the prize money. It is very, very poor. 10 million naira, for the winner of a league in the country is laughable, Mike. Very, very laughable, at this point in time. Yes, they've been talking about sponsors. Whichever way they can, get, sponsors. And when you have 1 or 2 or 3, 4 sponsors, it would definitely, of course, boost the prize money, because the sponsor will bring in money, to the league to sponsor. At the end of the day, you have money for the prize, for the winner, and so many other things. And what don't we always emphasize on the Women League, being on TV? It's only when we get to the Super 6, that is where you see the league, of course, they'll stream it, maybe to be on TV, and all of that. I don't think we're really prioritizing female football down here in Nigeria. All right, you take a look at the Nigerian Women Football League. This league has produced stars.
True.
You talk about the likes of Assistant Oshola, even the current Super Eagles captain and all of that. All of them were actually being spotted here in the Nigerian Women Football League. So why is it that we'll not really pay much attention to female football? 10 million naira for the for the winner of the league. You ask yourself, take a look at all what the club has spent throughout the season. Is it equal to what is it equal to the prize money and all of that? So for me, I think in terms of branding, the organizers should try most they can to see how they can take, of course, the league forward, bring it to the faces of the fans. All right, let's let people watch it. Let brands, of course, come to partner, with the league, and then, of course, the Nigerian Women Football League will, of course, gain a very, very impressive, heights and as well a good image for the country.
All right, and I think I key into that very particular opinion that the Nigerian Women Football League should be rebranded in a way and manner that it will attract private sponsors so that at least some of these teams can get something big at the end of the season, because it's quite disappointing after teams spend a whole lot of money to prosecute home and away matches. In fact, you talk about the recurrent expenditure to run a professional women football club. It doesn't come easy. Then at the end of it all, the final winner of the league will be given the sum of 10 million naira. And if you juxtapose 10 million naira vis-a-vis the recurrent expenditure made by some of the clubs during the course of the league, and I can tell you that it is a far cry, to compare to the expenditure made by some of these clubs. So I think I agree with Kingsley. The league needs to be improved. The league needs to be restructured. The league needs to be, of course, exposed so that at least some of these our talented players can get that recognition. And of course, sponsors will come in and do their own part of the bargain so that our league continue to improve. And I believe that the Women Football League Board, they are also taking cognizance of some of these gray areas that they need to strengthen and see how, of course, to improve the Nigerian Women Football League here. Still talking home football, let's talk about the Nigerian Premier Football League, because Rivers United were held to a goalless draw by Resilience Ikorodu City side in the Nigerian Premier Football League clash yesterday, October 29, at the Adokie Amesemaka Stadium in Port Harcourt here. So, Kingsley, it was a very struggling one for Rivers United yesterday. High-flying Ikorodu City side were able to hold Rivers United to a goalless draw. This is coming after Rivers United had impressive show at the return leg of the CAF Champions League where they defeated their opponent 3-1. We thought maybe, with that euphoria of getting to the next round of the CAF Champions League, they are going to, of course, continue that momentum back home. But then Ikorodu City had a different ball game altogether.
Yeah, they really had a different ball game. Try most can, of course, to pick a point away from home. I think that was a good one, of course, for Ikorodu City. For Rivers United, I think they are really they are not getting it right. The last two games they played in the league has not been fantastic. I think the last game was against before the game against Ikorodu. I think it was against Bayelsa United, where they lost. And before they head down to the Continentals, they cooked that game against, Black Bulls, as it stands. So for me, I think Rivers United, taking a look at how intense the season is, they should try most of the kind, of course, to grab all 3 points, whenever they have to, of course, face any team this season. It's really going to be a tough season for them due to the fact that, yes, they are playing in the CAF Champions League. They're also playing in the MPFL. And one thing that has always been there, for MPFL teams playing their trade in the continent is that sometimes injury sets in, sometimes there is fatigue, and all of that. So if the most challenge for the title, talking about the MPFL, then they should try most they can to fight for all 3 points, at home, and see maybe they can get at least a point away from home. That is what, of course, will keep them up there, in terms of fighting for the title, because it's not going to be an easy race. They just broke a jinx last time in the CAF Champions League. For so many years, we've not seen, Nigerian team qualify for the group stage, but at least they were able to put that up and came back with a lot of money, to say. So a lot of work in the hands of Finidi George at this point in time. If he really wants to fight for the title, then he must not miss all 3 points, at home. It was so sad. Even that game was played at the Adoke Messi Stadium. I thought they would have capitalized on the home advantage, and get a favorable one from that one. But it was so unfortunate that they have to go back home, of course, with 3 points. We'll just see how it goes. And taking a look at the NPFL this season is getting much intense. Nasra United, seeing themselves on the top of the table, don't want to come down. And so as other teams like Abia Warriors, and the rest. So Rivers United must make sure they fight to get all 3 points, and no matter what comes up, to make sure they stand in that position of fighting for the title. This is finished the second season, and the expectation will be winning the league.
Expectation will be winning the league. Still talking about winning the league, Rivers United are currently seated 9th position with 13 points after 8 games played. So they have 2 outstanding games. While Ikorodu City, courtesy of that, point that they picked away from home, are seated 5th on the log right now, presently with 15 points. So for Rivers United, time for them to brace up, win your 2 outstanding games, closing the gap and continue to fight for a better finish in the league. At this point in time, it is expected that they should get all 3 points at home, especially their last game before, their last home game, they also lost to Bayelsa United, back here at the same stadium. So it's looking likely that they are gradually, reducing their fear factor at home, and teams are beginning to take advantage of it, that whenever they come to the Adoke and Messi Stadium, that once was more like a slaughter ground for teams, they just try their luck to get all 3 points or even get a vital point. So Rivers United, they need to improve on their home record going forward in the Nigeria Premier Football League. Meanwhile, 12 countries has qualified for the 2026 CAF Women's African Cup of Nations, WAFCON, in Morocco after 2 rounds of qualifiers. They are Morocco, Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, Zambia, Senegal, Algeria, Tanzania, Kenya, Burkina Faso, Cape Verde, and Malawi. Cape Verde and Malawi will make their first ever appearances. The top 4 teams will qualify automatically for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil, while 2 others will advance to the intercontinental playoff. All right, at this point, let's take a quick break. When we are back, we'll take you straight to Europe and service some of the trending stories coming in from the European scene in the world of football. Don't go anywhere.